Hello, it's Patrick Ash. I'm author of Upon This Pale Hill and Typical Tragedies, musician, writer, elder millennial with the angst to go with it, all that stuff. So I wanted to talk about specifically panic disorder. For any of you out there who have had this diagnosis, as I have, I wanted to kind of share my experience and things that have worked for me. Of course, disclaimer, I'm not a doctor of any sort. I'm just a person who's dealt with this issue for a few years. And I think, like others, I've had like a, comorbidity or whatever the expression is, with other mental health issues like, depression, anxiety. And for me, the panic disorder is, so again, disclaimer, not a doctor. This is purely my personal experience and what's worked for me. So it's very much a take it or leave it, just speaking to my own experience. I've had like the depression anxiety for many years. Depression goes back many years toward adolescent years, and the anxiety's kind of been more gradually building. I had test anxiety for sure when I was in school. I did not even know what it was. It was just people would say like, oh, you're just nervous, you're just feeling stressed out or whatever. But also during standardized tests, I would seriously be in the bathroom throwing up, and it was not pretty. But I kind of felt like I dealt with it for many years, and then getting into my career in adulthood, I started to have two issues. One not mental health related, one mental health related. I started to develop an arrhythmia about my mid-20s. I'm in my, I'll just say 30-something, mid-30s, mid to late 30s. So I had a heart arrhythmia develop. At the time, I was in grad school, smoking and drinking coffee all the time, not sleeping. So it was like no surprise that I was kind of playing with fire. So that was on the kind of medical, physiological side of it, not the so much mental health. The mental health and physical health are very much intertwined. It's all medical ultimately. But at the same time, when I had my first real arrhythmia episode, I had kind of a few issues with it, like a few flutters and palpitations and things, but nothing that was too alarming. And then I had one really bad episode, and it coincided with what was really my first panic attack. And it took me years of seeing specialists and getting Holter monitors and trying different things to kind of parse out what was what. And so because of that, it took me a while at first it was like, okay, I've had a panic attack. And it was like, actually, come to find out I have an arrhythmia. And I thought at first that it was like, oh, it's just an arrhythmia. If I treat that, then, we'll be fine. And gradually I kind of developed, or I came to realize through a few experiences and seeing doctors, actually I also have panic attacks. Because I've had experiences where I was panicking and did not have the heart symptoms. So anyway, that's just my personal medical whatever. And so in the past few years, particularly 3 or 4 years ago, it's developed into a panic disorder. And that's kind of not just occasionally having panic attacks, but rather you have a kind of persistent fear of them, and they interrupt your daily life. And I can say for sure that it does interrupt my daily life to the point that it has led me to make different decisions about my career, and even to, because I have social anxiety, and that's been, on and off. I've always been kind of introverted, but then of course being introverted and social anxiety are not the same thing, but in my case they do overlap. But anyway, so I started to have a panic disorder because I started to have situations in which things that used to just make me a little nervous or annoyed would give me the full, all the bad symptoms. I think anyone with panic attacks know what I'm talking about. And so of course, trigger warning, content warning, I'm going to talk about the symptoms. So if that's bothersome, then please proceed with caution, or you may not want to listen to me describe it. So initially it was like I would be stuck in traffic jams and realize, what if I have to go to the bathroom? And then just that thought itself, like, could feel the palpitations. And then it's like, uh-oh, what if I have an arrhythmia episode? And what if I can't get to my destination on time? And, it's like spiraling thoughts. And so like instantly it's just, nervousness, palpitations, sweating, and just very unpleasant. And so I've been able to kind of, talk myself through it and try to like use mindfulness. Like I've seen, therapists and that kind of thing to like work on ways to, kind of lessen the, take deep breaths and that kind of thing. I want to talk about what helps and what has not helped. And I will say, I feel like that helps more people than it has helped me. The deep breaths kind of thing, and the breathe in, breathe out, and like try not to think about it. I don't know about anyone else, but for me, my brain will be like, I know you're trying to not think about this, and you're trying to fool yourself, and you're not going to do it. I'm not going to let you off the hook. So then, like, it will. Oftentimes, it's like, at least the thought of like, why am I not getting better? Oh crap, I'm not getting better because it's just that severe, and it just spirals. So that has not helped me very much. And I also want to make a point here about exposure therapy, because I hear this out there, and in fact, the reason I made this video is because I often hear that whole like, well, if you have a phobia or a fear of situations, like in my case, being stuck in traffic, being on airplanes, not because I have a fear of flights, but because I'm like, stuck in a situation. Social situations, of course, like if I'm like surrounded by people and I just kind of feel, start to feel really nervous and I can't leave, can't get out without making a scene. Why are you leaving? Where are you going? Anyway. So, where was I going with this? No, I lose my train of thought. So yeah, some people say their recommendation or what's helped for them is exposure therapy. It's like, well, the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll be. It's one of those, I'm glad it does work for some people. In my personal experience, it has not worked for me, because many of my like triggers that have set off my anxiety and panic are things I've done many times in the past, and had no problems with. And then it's as I've developed a panic disorder in the past few years, now that they cause problems. So like I've been in traffic jams countless times. I have flown in airplanes. I want to guess, easily half or 20, 25 times in my life, something like that. And, been in social situations that like, maybe I was a little nervous before, but now like since having panic symptoms, because then the fear is like, well, I don't want to panic. And it's the whole, fear of fear. What I often say to therapists and, psychiatrists or whatever is, it's like my number one trigger is fearing I'm going to have a panic attack. It's like, I usually don't like that expression, self-fulfilling prophecy. I think there's a lot of, it's often used for MBS things where there are things outside of your control. But in this case, I will say it is that thought of what if I have a panic attack? Like I hate that it is so much a, self-perpetuating thing. So I will be getting into what has helped me. But exposure therapy has not really helped for me, because I have been in those situations countless times before, but even since having it, it's like, okay, you've done this a million times, you've had social situations, you've presented, even though that's side rant. I hate doing presentations and stuff like I always have. I've done Toastmasters, I've done public speaking courses. I know the purpose of it, I know the skills and all that, but it's just, it's one of those things, I've just never enjoyed it, so I don't want to do it. Even though I'm a data analyst, it's like, yeah, I want to write awesome reports and convey great information. It's kind of an antiquated way of doing things, but anyway, that's a side rant. But even with exposure therapy, I've tried to like put myself in situations and just say, hey, just run with it, Patrick, just be cool, or not be cool, but be okay with it. Like expose yourself to it, and whatever happens. And it's like, I feel like mixed to unsuccessful results is the best way to put it. So I haven't found it super helpful. Some of the same things that have triggered me in the past just continue to do so. So what has helped? I want to get into that. What has helped for me, honestly, excuse me, the for me there is I feel like a biochemistry to it, if you will. Some people say that getting exercise and activity does help. And of course, there's science behind it, and I'm with that science completely. I'm very much a pro-science person. I teach research methods. I'm going to talk more about that in other videos. But so getting physical activity is a good way, but there's an issue there that's difficult for me, and I think it may be for other people, where like you have to get over an initial hump, and that is that when you first start, like when you get the palpitations and the sweat, it very much mimics a panic attack. And so one article I read says that it describes it as cruel, like it's cruelly like similar to the experience of a panic attack. And so I've had this experience where I got a good half an hour, 45 minutes of exercise, feeling pretty good. And then after I was cooling down, about 15, 20 minutes into it, I was like, my heart's still going. My heart's still going. Why is my heart slowing down? And then and then had a panic attack, and it lasted a while. Something I've heard and read out there that has not been my experience is that people will say like, oh, panic attacks usually are very short. They only last 5 to 10 minutes or something like that. I've had panic attacks that have lasted half an hour to an hour. I think I've had it up to about an hour. My longest has probably been a little bit over an hour. So I want to relate to anyone else out there that's like, I've had long panic attacks, so what's up with people saying they only last a few minutes or 10 or 15 minutes? I can't remember where I've read that, but I've seen it a few times. So anyway, so there's an initial hump of like being comfortable with activity, because the idea is that if you get more activity, it will help. But I will say I found that getting consistent activity does help to lessen kind of the frequency and severity of panic attacks. So that's one thing. Number two, because I do consider this kind of a biochemical thing, because there's something to be said for talk therapy and getting ideas and breathing exercises, and that's all well and good. It's just that I've had a situation, I don't know if others have, that my brain is calm. I can get myself to like, okay, my thoughts are calm, like, all right, this is unpleasant, but I'm dealing, I'll live. And yet still, heart's beating, sweating, like the rest of the body isn't calming down. And you're just sitting there waiting it, like, okay, it's been a few minutes. This just sucks. It's kind of miserable. And I think anybody who's had panic issues, it's not just an all in your head kind of thing. Like, it really is intensely negative. I would say this, I think others might feel this way too, that it's like I'd prefer having a physical ailment, like I have broken limbs before. I've had other issues, various health problems, and it's like I kind of prefer that physical pain in many ways to going through something like this. So I want to be quick because family's returning home. So exercise helps with that biochemistry of like of getting the chemicals in your body that tell you to freak out, to chill out a little bit, because you probably, if you're familiar with this, you've probably seen and heard this a few times, but I want to talk about some of the less common ones that I found to be helpful. And one is Inositol. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. It's like vitamin B8, I think it is. And I found this by digging through academic journals and finding that that versus placebo, that there was evidence to suggest that with a high dose, and again, check the literature for yourselves, make decisions for yourself. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a lowly researcher, but it's not the same thing as a doctor. I'm not in the medical field either. I'm in public program evaluation. So, but that was what has helped me, because using that, I have found that again, it lessens the frequency and severity of panic symptoms, because it's kind of a sugar that's like not like refined sugar, but one that's your body, I think it's like your body naturally produces it, and that's why it's not technically a vitamin. It's something, I'm not a nutritionist either, but it's something that, our modern diets don't have much of. So having a high dose, for whatever reason, is something that helps to put our panic chemicals, more copacetic or healthier. I don't know all the science behind it, but I do think I found that to be helpful. The other one I want to bring up is just medication. I think people need to be very careful about medication in general. However, I think that medication kind of with a very targeted and kind of open mind, open perspective, where you talk to, again, we all know our healthcare system is friggin' terrible in many ways, but if you're able to talk to different like psychiatrists and doctors to look through the different options and find which medications help and which ones don't. And kind of the point I want to drive here is that being able to find not just what works, but kind of the dosage, like how often to take it. Because I'm someone that a lot of medications have not worked for me. This is definitely true on depression. In fact, some had the opposite effect. They have, that's a long story by itself, but I've had a lot of bad reactions with many kind of antidepressant, like that class, the SSRI class of medicines. Helps for many people. So again, talk to your doctor, of course. So I'll say, like, antidepressants have not been beneficial for me. They've been quite harmful, honestly. It's also exacerbated my my arrhythmia, actually. It had been in a good spot for a few years, and then I was like, okay, well, let me come back and be careful and try this one, SSRI, that apparently it was recommended because it's so well tolerated and like not as strong as others. And it seriously gave me arrhythmic episodes when I hadn't had them in a while. So, but that being said, people have to be very careful with the anti-anxiety ones, like, your Valium and your Xanax. However, I will say I take medication sort of as needed, like as episodes arise. And for me, that's been beneficial, because sometimes, like I said before, I'll be in a calm state of mind, but like the symptoms are still like my body is just pumping all those chemicals, the cortisol and the adrenaline, and it's in just this heightened state, and I can't bring it down. And especially like if you're at work or if you're trying to go to sleep, it's really interrupting your life. You're like, I have to get this under control because I've got things to do. I can't just sit here and wait this out for who knows how long. So for me, I won't get into too many specifics, but the right anti-anxiety medication to take for an episode, so that you can get through that episode or prevent one, or like if okay, I'm gonna go in this stressful situation, I want to have something so that it's so that I'm less likely to have a full-blown panic episode. So I just want to encourage people that if you haven't seen a doctor or psychiatrist, my personal experience is that in the past, like 10 or 15 years ago, it felt like medical professionals were like, here, take this medication, take that medication. They just really were pushing it. And I think there's probably some economics behind big pharma and big business and all that. Like, oh, you're feeling a little worried, anti-anxiety. Oh, you're feeling sad today, antidepressant. And, I don't think, it's any surprise that, what do you know, lots of people ended up having bad experiences, and I was one of them. And maybe they were being a little overzealous. But now it seems in the past few years that they are less likely to do that. And sometimes they're like, no, we're going to try diet and lifestyle first, which is fine. I mean, I think that's kind of for many people, I think that's kind of a first stop. Try a few lifestyle things to see if that, improve your diet and, get activity. However, if you try those things and you're still having issues, like if you're trying to get over what I call like the exercise hump, where initially, you're gonna have, panic-like symptoms and it's gonna be miserable, but you're trying to get to a good spot so that you're getting the benefits, so that you're getting regular activity and you're feeling that's helping you to have less frequent and less severe episodes. So I just want to encourage people that because I was very medication resistant for many years, because I had so many bad experiences, I didn't want to try it. And I went through maybe almost 10 years where I tried to take nothing, or I didn't take anything. And then I was like, okay, let me start trying different things, and then still had, not great experiences. But I did find one thing like in the past 2 or 3 years where I was like, actually, if I try this, that does help calm me down and I don't have like severe reactions. But it is, I'll say, one of the more intense ones. And it's one that it's like, I don't want to be taking it daily. I take it, 4 episodes, specifically. So like for acute symptoms, as I think they said. So anyway, I think I'm over 20 minutes now. I wanted to keep this relatively short, and, my family's here, so I want to see them. That's my experience. I hope that anyone watching this can glean some insight, and of course, your mileage may vary. I think unique experiences, it's just very common to have unique experiences with this. So, see your doctor if you can, see specialists, see therapists, see psychiatrists when we're talking specifically about psychological medication. But just for whatever it's worth, I think activity generally helps for me. And Inositol, which is just a dietary supplement, you can buy it on Amazon or wherever retailer carries Inositol, vitamin B8. I think it takes like a pretty big dose to get the benefit. I think I want to say it's like 1 tablespoon, I think. I take like 1 tablespoon 2 times a day, and that I found to be beneficial. And seeing if you can find a medication that is specific to you and your circumstance. So hope that helps. Hope that that's not either too generic or too, oh, you have to do it this way, because I don't like it when people say you have to do it this way, otherwise, of course, you have problems, because anything I've found across issues, any kind of issues in life, physical or career or whatever, is that one size fits all. It's not true. That's all I gotta say. All right, take care. See you next time.